So I'm right outside of town at Glenns Ferry, Idaho, and behind me you'll see the Snake River, very calm part of the river, and then directly behind me is an old ferry. Now this is part of the old Oregon Trail, and I wanted to shoot a video while I was here, and if I can turn the camera around just for a second, you'll see very deserty scene, very rough terrain, but then we've got this area where the farmers have come in and they've started to tame the land a little bit, and you've just got this very stark contrast between, the rough hills behind me that these pioneers would have trekked through, and then the river and trying to cross that river. Could you imagine what that journey would have been like? Like, that ferry right there was used to haul, countless pioneers across the river. Now, as a kid, I played the old Oregon Trail game countless times, and sometimes I was the banker or the blacksmith or the doctor, right? And you'd pick how many people you had in your family, and then you'd start on your westward trek, and it was a fun game. But for these people, this was real life, and it was a struggle every single day. And in the game, I'd go out and go hunting and get my food and bring it back. Someone would break their leg. Someone always seemed to get dysentery. You might have one or two people that would actually die in the game along the trail, but then you'd finally make it to your destination, right? And I was like, oh yes, I did it. That's so great. But what about the real pioneers? For them, this was a matter of life and death. And initially, they would cross this river, the Snake River, at Three Island Crossing, which is just right over there a few feet away from me. And they would cross there because there were literally 3 different islands in the river, and it made it much easier to go from island to island to island, and then they could get across the river. Eventually, someone came along and they built the ferry, and that ferry made the trek so much easier for these people so that they had a more safe way to get across an especially dangerous part of the river. Now, what does this have to do with our lives or business? Well, let me tell you, in our lives, each one of us are at different points in this journey. Some of us, we're on that westward trek and we're in those mountains, and it's an absolute nightmare right now, right? For others, we're at the river and we're looking, and we've got this specific problem where we have to figure out how are we going to cross this river, and maybe we have to walk along and study that problem for a while till we find the right place to overcome that obstacle. And yet for others of us, maybe we've already found our place. We've found and figured out what our offer is, and we're like the ferry boat operator, and we're like, you know what? I can help people in their journey of life by building the ferry and helping them solve that problem. What is it that your business is doing? What problem is it that you're actually solving? Have you got a problem that people actually want to pay you to solve? Is the problems that they're dealing with something that is worth building that solution? Did you build a solution that really doesn't have enough people with that problem? Or maybe they're not willing to pay you? Those are all things to consider. If someone had built a ferry right next to a bridge, no one's going to use the ferry, right? So in our lives, are we building solutions for problems that really don't need to be solved? If we are, we're going to have a hard time getting enough business to justify actually taking the time to build that business. Now, if you are that ferry boat operator and you've got a successful business, you're really, in a sense, kind of like this guy here, where he was literally helping people on their journey and struggles of life. Another interesting point with the whole migration west for the pioneers was initially the first people coming along had absolutely no idea how they were going to get from point A to point B. And so they would talk to some of the people that were here already, and they would get tips from the various people that were already living in the area. And that would work sometimes. But then, as they started down that journey, they would oftentimes go in a group. Now, are you, in your life, finding people to help you along your journey of life? In your business, do you have other business owners that you can lean on so that you're all traveling towards a destination together? Because having that group, having that accountability, having someone to help you push that forward can be extremely beneficial. Also, oftentimes that group would have individuals that would ride out ahead and would be aware of the surroundings, aware of the circumstances. Those guides some of them had made the trip numerous times back and forth, and they knew the whole area. How many of you have taken the time to find people who have already traveled where you're traveling that can help you because they can see it from a different perspective and they understand some of the challenges ahead or some of the things that we might not be seeing as we're in our day-to-day in life. Coaches, mentors, those kinds of individuals, if they have the right experience, can be absolutely invaluable on your journey of life as you're trying to figure out, how do I make it on my westward trek? And then I'd invite you, if you've already made it somewhere, to turn around and start helping those that are still on that journey. There's something really fulfilling about knowing that you made someone else's journey in life a little bit easier.